This is the Cointelegraph headline. Will XRP's 70% rise occur again? A typical fractal breakout is approaching in price. And it's always entertaining to watch because, as I've been observing, Cointelegraph has been trash-talking XRP for years on end. However, since November of last year, when XRP has significantly outperformed the rest of the market, they have been publishing more positive articles about it than ever before. I also enjoy watching it. They're right here, but it's kind of fun. Give credit where credit is due, but do you know what this is related to? This shouldn't come as a surprise. In particular, this market cycle, after XRP broke out and then began to consolidate and drop off after hitting that all-time high in January 16th of this year, is why I have been preaching this message for years at this point. After that, we take a half-year break. I mentioned that historically, XRP will have its initial significant push, which we undoubtedly received, then consolidate for roughly 6 months before taking off. Looks like that's exactly what happened, doesn't it? Indeed, it does. But we're going to get a little more nuanced about it because we just reached yet another record high, and I'm aware that the price has dropped. Is that strange? Is that out of character? In terms of charts, this analyst doesn't appear to agree. In fact, it is encouraging that we have just reached another new all-time high of $3.65 in the previous few weeks. The likelihood of a robust upward continuation in August is increased by the fact that XRP's most recent price action is mirroring a bullish fractal from earlier this year. XRP remains stable above its 50-day exponential moving average during December and January, consolidating inside a falling wedge pattern. Early in January, the pattern resolved with an upside breakout, regaining the purple wave or 20-day EMA as support, and driving a 70% price increase from about $2 to about $3.39. This is what they are discussing. The wedge is this. As you can see, the price started dropping after skyrocketing to $2.90. I believe it came down on December 2nd, but what did it do after that? After that, it increased by an additional 70%. Additionally, I should simply bring up this point. I'm using approximate figures here, but the second pump occurs around 6 months between the last cycle and the one before. If history continues to repeat itself, the second pump, the larger component we're actually looking forward to for this cycle, is significantly larger than the first. In terms of US dollars or whatever your preferred fiat currency is, it is far larger than the first pump. Even if seeing XRP rise from 49 cents to a new all-time high of $3.65 has been amazing, it's not finished, and that's not even the most interesting part if history is to be believed.
I firmly believe that this will be the case if history is to rhyme with itself, as it appears to be so well positioned and set up. In any case, peace endures. After a strong surge, XRP is now consolidating behind a falling wedge as of August. It has also bounced from its 50-day EMA and flipped the 20-day EMA back into support. Both times, XRP's Relative Strength Index, or RSI for short, had a significant decline from overbought levels before settling around 50, a reset that came before a January breakout. And the portion up here at the top is the RSI so that you can observe what took place. You are further into overbought territory the higher it is. You are more in oversold territory the lower it is. We did cool out a little after entering that overbought area. This is the same. You begin to get into something, then calm down a little. This is a behavior that also occurred before this event continued. So people, this isn't finished. This is not finished. I believe I just read that sentence, they repeated. The Relative Strength Index for XRP, yes, recovered significantly from overbought levels in both situations and settled around 50. All right. The two pattern similarities imply that XRP may be about to make another significant upward rise. As of Tuesday, the cryptocurrency is up more than 20% from its current August price levels and pushing the upper trend line of the wedge for a possible breakout towards 375. There, you're already discussing new all-time high territory. If you would like to view a larger version of this, here is the chart. Now, I'll show you what they cite in this piece in a moment. Here they are discussing a summit, and it's absurd how low it is, but what do you want me to say, Cointelegraph, everyone? But the rest of this makes sense. However, I believe they remark, yeah, they cited here. Take a look. A failure at the higher trend line could stall the breakout, with XRP likely retesting the 50-day EMA as support. A decline into the wedge apex, which is close to the 200-day EMA at about $2.34, is possible if the market closes below this level. However, this is where the humorous part lies. Furthermore, it's not certain that XRP will drop that much. If the rest of the tank's lower, led by Bitcoin, all right, okay, it won't matter then, though. It's not a problem unique to XRP. This is acceptable if a little additional retesting is required. However, as I've been emphasizing for the past day or two, I don't see many analysts anticipating that we'll reach that $2.34 level. Anyway, have a look at this. This cycle, several analysts predict that XRP will break above $4. $4? $4? Man, are you serious? So consider that. For almost half a decade, XRP's price was artificially depressed. Here at last, it begins to soar. It's all over after all the legal bullshit. Legally speaking, XRP is safe. In the US, regulatory certainty is on the horizon.
The crypto war is over. That's all that has occurred. The foundations of XRP are stronger than ever, and you're telling me that we're barely... what does it even amount to getting a little over $4, which is around 30% higher than the previous all-time high from 2018? Man, Jesus friggin' Christ, that's crazy. The biggest letdown would be that. That just doesn't seem safe to me, within the parameters of reality. That's not practical, in my opinion. I just think that's hilariously ridiculous. It's laughably ridiculous. I'll just say that the analysts I follow have conservative price forecasts of about 8, 9, and 10. Among the analysts I follow, the majority believe it will rise over that, but those are my most conservative estimates. It's just ridiculous stuff. But what about all these other coins like Ethereum? Compared to their previous highs, they will double, triple, and quadruple. However, XRP's price will not even double from its position almost 10 years ago. Because of all of this interest, XRP is the coin with the highest percentage of interest in the US for spot ETFs. The SEC has received applications from more companies seeking clearance for the XRP spot ETF. Well, there's no actual demand, is there? Leave this place immediately. $4 is absurd. Because of whale accumulation and a possible rate drop by the Fed in September, which could increase risk appetite generally, several analysts predict that XRP could break over $4 this cycle. Yes, that's the reason. What we're discussing here isn't the solid foundations that have endured for 10 years and everything else. That's it. Oh, I see. They do discuss solid foundations now. The remainder of the article that discusses that isn't really necessary for me to read. I mean, I'm always talking about the basics. It's clear that XRP is essentially the most practical cryptocurrency ever developed. Therefore, there are no fundamental or utility-related disagreements here. But in case you were wondering, would we see much, much higher? I continue to maintain that it is highly likely. I also acknowledge that I have no idea what the future holds for the price of XRP. I always acknowledge that. However, I do think I have strong convictions and way, way, way higher people for well-earned reasons. Much higher. We're not finished yet. Thanks for watching and subscribing to our channel.